Welcome to Connecting Africa, the show that highlights the leaders and trailblazers connecting the continent through business. I'm Eleni Jakas. From airports to airlines, this month we're looking at all things aviation. When it comes to the airline market, Africa has massive potential. With its population of around 1.4 billion people, it accounts for almost 17% of the world's population. But it only has under 4% of the global air market, according to a 2018 report by the Single African Air Transport Market. Now, industry leaders aim to change that. In Casablanca, they came together recently to see how they can get more flights in the air and how to boost intra-African trade by increasing freight traffic. They've come from all over the continent. The destination? Casablanca, Morocco. It's playing host to the continent's first aerospace forum, a one-day conference where Africa's aviation leaders are gathered to thrash out some of its biggest issues.
People are not connected. People don't have access the way they should to neighboring villages or cities, even countries.
That's the biggest challenge we have with the African aviation. The continent is huge, it's vast, but it's difficult and unpredictable.
In many parts of Africa, the aviation sector is still in its infancy. With poor airport infrastructure and a fragmented network of routes, even getting here posed a massive challenge for many.
I live, in fact, in Nairobi, in Kenya. I had to fly Nairobi via Addis to go to Bamako in Mali, and then to connect on another airline from Bamako to Casablanca.
How did you get here from Kigali?
Very interesting question. Took RwandaAir to Brussels and then from Brussels to Casablanca.
By global standards, Africa's aviation sector is underdeveloped. To get Africa truly connected over the next few decades, massive investment in new airports, planes, and a vast network of new routes are required. In Kigali, Rwanda, a new $2 billion airport is being built with ambitions for it to become a major hub for travel and trade on the continent. It's a massive construction site. Huge mounds of earth being dug in preparation for a new state-of-the-art international airport.
The major works happening right now is all the earth movement. Because Rwanda is very hilly, so we need to make a flat platform for the runway and the passenger terminal building. So most of the works that are going on is earthworks. And we're also doing some of the civil works like the runway and taxiway, and all the associated infrastructure works like drainage.
From construction workers,
So we've got a lot to finish here.
to engineers, to architects, more than 1,500 people are currently working at the site.
It is located more or less 40 kilometers from the city center, Kigali, the capital city. So the airport is designed in phase 1 for 8.2 million passengers per year. So you understand that all the facilities has to be developed according to that number. And in phase 2, the subsequent development will be for 14.2 million. So we will have to almost double the capacity of the new international airport.
The $2 billion project, according to the developers, will have world-class facilities, including the construction of cargo infrastructure that should increase intra-African trade.
It's a project really of a big change and a big magnitude. We will have more than 20 buildings in this area. It's actually provided with all the modern facilities, terminal building, but the game changer as well compared to what we've been doing so far is that we will have a dedicated cargo terminal to accommodate more than 150,000 tons per year of goods, and we are going to increase this traffic of goods in parallel to the traffic of passengers.
Slated to open in late 2026, the new Kigali International Airport will be majority owned by the Middle East Qatar Airways.
I'm amazed. It's like a dream coming true to see also the impact and the magnitude of this project to the population. The main objective of this airport is basically to make sure that Rwanda becomes an African hub where everyone will be transiting either for tourism but also for business and different industries. The impact will be significant for the region and for the country as well.
An exciting new development there that is sure to have a major impact for the continent's aviation sector. And when we come back, we meet the CEO of RwandaAir on her ambitious plans for the airline. Welcome back to Connecting Africa, where this month we are talking all things aviation. From the construction of a new airport in Rwanda to exciting new developments for the country's airline. In Casablanca, I sat down with the CEO of RwandaAir to talk about her big, ambitious plans for the airline and how one major international carrier is about to take a stake in its future.
RwandaAir has been operating for the last 20 years. We're still a small airline, but very ambitious, very similar to the country. Rwanda is a very ambitious, small country, but very ambitious. We currently have a fleet of 12 aircraft going on. We're about to acquire another aircraft within the next few weeks. We're looking at doubling our fleet within the next 5 years. We're operating to 25 destinations now. Unfortunately, we had to shrink during the pandemic, but now we're rebuilding our network. And we're very optimistic about what the future holds as well.
Tell me about what you plan to bring with the new airport.
The new airport is going to be very exciting. It's a much bigger airport, which gives RwandaAir the potential to really grow. The majority shareholder of the airport is Qatar. They own 60% of the airport, and for the airline, we're in advanced stages with Qatar as well for them to take on 49% stake in the airline. So that gives us really good potential to grow and create a strong hub, making Kigali a strong hub within Africa. So we're excited about that. The first phase will have the capacity of about 7 million passengers, and 7 more in the next phase. So the potential is huge.
Kenya, they're doing the same, something very similar, right? They see themselves as a hub. They've got a lot of connecting flights across the continent. Ethiopian Airlines doing the same. Is there enough space for all of you?
I believe there is.
Yeah?
I believe there is. And there's also potential to partner with each other, which is another way we can really serve the continent, is really working together as opposed to going head to head. We are very open to partnering with different airlines, and I believe the potential is huge for all of us.
Qatar going to be investing in RwandaAir. So how is that going to play out?
It will be a joint venture. They'll take 49% stake of the airline, but we're already working together from a commercial perspective. We have a very extensive co-chair arrangement which came into effect last year, which gives us access to over 65 points. We're looking to build a very strong airline within the African continent.
The biggest and the best? Is that what you want to?
Well,
is that your ambition?
Why not? We're looking forward to that. We want to build a world-class airline and really serve our customers the best way we can.
One of the biggest issues that you and I have been discussing, travel across the continent is really difficult. There aren't enough routes connecting everyone.
Absolutely. That's the biggest challenge we have with the African aviation. The continent is huge, it's vast, but it's difficult and unpredictable travel.
And it's expensive, right?
And it's extremely expensive.
The routes have to be economically viable, and you need to have enough traffic.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that.
Absolutely. And what's making it more challenging is just the conditions of operating within the African continent. It's so much more, the cost of operations is so much more, whether it's airport fees, whether it's ground handling, parking, overflight, everything is much more expensive, sometimes up to 50% more than in the Middle East and Europe, which makes the ticket prices even more expensive and makes the routes unviable.
How do we bring those prices down?
I think the main reason that really can help tap into the full potential of African aviation is, number one, looking at we're currently operating on highly restrictive bilateral air service agreements, which makes it very difficult to open routes. The buses spell out the frequencies that you can operate, the type of equipment that you can operate, the points of entry that you should enter. So this, which is why we're all advocating for the single African air transport market. For SAATM, it's really opening up our skies, allowing airlines to fly wherever they want to fly, at whatever points, whatever frequencies they want to do, whatever aircraft type they want to use, and really allowing airlines to quickly open up new routes. So in order to fully penetrate the African market. The potential is huge. We account for 16% of the world population. By 2030, African youth will constitute 42% of global youth. So those are very, very encouraging numbers that we really need to leverage. And I believe with the open skies, we'll be able to rapidly roll out new routes, expand our networks as quickly as possible.
You're going to be the first African and first female chair of the IATA Board of Governors in just a few months.
Yes.
How are you preparing for this position?
I really want to shed light on the issue of diversity within the aviation industry. We really can't leverage and fully realize our potential, not only in the African continent, but the entire industry when we exclude 50% of the population. I'd really like to see that being driven forward. And I really want to shed a light on the potential of African aviation.
When we come back, we talk to the CEO of Kenya Airways on the role that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement could play in boosting passenger and freight traffic on the continent. Welcome back to Connecting Africa, where this month we are talking to key decision makers in Africa's aviation sector, leaders who are aiming to increase air connectivity and intra-African trade across the continent. Kenya Airways CEO Alan Kilavuka is one such leader who is seeing big opportunities for increased trade across Africa, thanks to implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Alan, great to see you. My first question, how did you get here from Nairobi?
Long trip.
Yeah?
Flew into Paris and then flew down from Paris to Casablanca. That took me 8 plus 3 hours, 11 hours to be here. And 1.5 days.
Why do you think that is?
Commercially, it doesn't make economic sense right now to fly into those places. So there's not enough traffic moving from south to north and north to south. And not enough goods being traded between Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. But that, I believe, is about to change because of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which now, first of all, will give access to goods and also allow for more freedom of movement for people from both sides.
The Continental Free Trade Area creating so much excitement, but it's all about implementation.
Yeah.
How are you guys pricing the potential of growth between Morocco, North African countries and the rest of the continent?
The estimate is that trade is going to increase by about 52%, okay? Particularly goods, moving of goods from one place to another. And so is the economies of the people going to move. Now, part of the problem is even access in terms of allowing people to move into countries. So you're expected to have visas to begin with. So one of the things we need to do is to free up the movement of people. And then together with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which allows access, so it eliminates tariffs and other non-tariff barriers, then it allows for more trade to happen. From there on, we need to partner with the traders and the tourists so that we provide the logistics for moving both people and goods into and out of Sub-Saharan Africa.
And it's something that the East African community has been able to really do well on.
Within East Africa, for example, if you want to travel within East Africa to the 5 countries, most of the countries you don't need a passport. You can travel with your identification card, which is unique in Africa, right? Not many places in Africa you can go with your identity card. But over and above that as well is just even foreigners coming into the country. For example, if you want to come into East Africa, you can get one visa to travel across East Africa. So that helps as well. Give East Africa access.
In a way, you're sort of the microcosm of what it could look like on the continent in terms of free movement of people.
That's exactly the point. And what we have said is, even when it comes to liberalization of the aviation, we could start with pockets East Africa, Southern Africa, West Africa, and see how that works. And then before we blow it out, because I know it's big, we have 55 countries, a very large continent. So it's a large thing, it's a large project to implement all at once. So if you implement it in pockets and then roll it out, then that makes much more sense.
You're looking to work even closer with South African Airways, for example. You're looking for new code share opportunities as well. Could you take me through that strategy in terms with working with other airlines and what that could mean for you?
We have a bigger vision though. So the Africa market, the African aviation market, is very fragmented. You have so many, 55 countries, we have so many airlines in the continent. Most of them are not viable, that truth be told. The solution to that is to consolidate, right? Just like that has happened in Europe, it happened in the US, happened in Asia. We need to consolidate so that you create bigger entities which are more economical from a scale perspective, and they can respond to high costs. They can, together talk to suppliers and get more gains when it comes to purchases, so bring down the unit cost of operation. In addition, because of scale, they can then open up the African continent a lot more.
So you're talking consolidation basically in the industry?
So that is a discussion we've been having with South African Airways. How do we consolidate? And not just South African Airways, it's African countries as well. So my agenda as a person, and we as an airline, is really how do we make aviation more viable in Africa? One way of doing it, and I'm completely convinced, is you have to consolidate the industry. The fragmented state at which we are in is not going to make it.
When we come back, we take a closer look at the Single African Air Transport Market, or SAATM, a 2018 proposal to create a single market for air transport on the continent. Welcome back to Connecting Africa, where this month we're looking at the aviation sector. To get Africa connected, the Single African Air Transport Market, or SAATM, was launched in 2018. According to a 2022 progress report, it aims to create a single market for air transport in Africa, which would allow for the free movement of people, goods and services across the continent. But so far, only 35 of the 55 countries across Africa have signed up. If implemented, the report finds that it could lead to more flights, better connections, lower airfares and increased intra-African trade. One person involved in getting SAATM implemented is the Secretary General of the African Airlines Association, Abderrahman Berthe.
The Single African Air Transport Market is the continuation of the Yamoussoukro Declaration, which was in 1988. Can you imagine?
Yesterday.
And, and then after, we had the decision of Yamoussoukro in 1998, trying to speed up the declaration. It was not working very well. So in 2018, the head of states has decided to launch the Single African Air Transport Market. The objective is to implement the Yamoussoukro decision.
So it took 30 years?
Yes. The Yamoussoukro decision aims to liberalize the air transport within the continent in terms of traffic rights, in terms of access to markets, capacity offered by airlines. So since 2018, all the stakeholders of the industry are working to make it happen. Liberalization is not an easy subject. Even in other regions of the world, it took a lot of time. So we are working on it. What is missing and sometimes is willing of states to really implement it.
Tell me what the actual objectives are, what a single market would look like.
What it will achieve, it's to facilitate the access to market, because for any business, if you don't have access to market, you cannot grow. So this is important. For me, it will really improve connectivity. And also, let us talk about affordability of air transport for African citizens, because SAATM is not only about connectivity, we need also to make sure that the environment is enabling the development of air transport, and the ticket fares airlines are requesting are affordable for African citizens. When I talk about SAATM, I want to talk also about the African continental free trade area. This also is a project launched the same year in 2018 by the African Union, and is complementary with SAATM, because African states are not trading between themselves in reality. The level of trade is 20% currently. If you look at other regions in Asia or in Europe, the intra-trade is more than 50%. So this project aims to develop the trade on the continent, and it will also boost the air traffic.
Where are we with implementation?
For the implementation, we have 35 states which have signed it so far. And since 2018, we had also 21 states which have signed what we call Memorandum of Implementation, meaning when we sign the memorandum, all your air service agreements, you will revise them to put them in compliance with Yamoussoukro decisions. However, they have also signed that, and African Union made a study, and we realized that 2/3 of the air service agreements are not yet in compliance with Yamoussoukro decisions.
So ratification hasn't truly happened?
Yes. Some states are really implementing, applying it. Most states in the West and Central Africa, maybe because they don't have strong airlines and the traffic is low.
So what's worrying you the most with SAATM? What is worrying you the most?
What is worrying me today is the willingness of states and also the readiness. You need to be willing and to be ready, because there are some requirements because there are 6 or 7 pillars of SAATM. For example, one is the level of safety of the country. So when you talk about the safety, for example, you have the ICAO standards. Still some states at the oversight level or at airline level, the safety level is low. So there are some requirements. So it's important that all states be at a good level to reach that requirement to enable implementation of SAATM.
And that's it for this month's Connecting Africa. If you want to know more about the subjects we cover on this program, you can check out our website. Until next month, from me, Eleni Jakas, let's keep on connecting.